Hello, hello, my lovelies. This is Nini, and this is my channel, such as it is. This is one of possibly many videos that will be coming out on my channel as I start the adventure as a baby YouTuber. Today's video is going to be discussing, watching, and debating the discourse that has overtaken the interwebs for the last 24 hours. Namely, the Dragon Age The Veilguard trailer. Now, a few caveats before I get into this. One, I am a huge capital H fan of Dragon Age. I bought my first copy of Dragon Age Origins at the midnight release in 2009. I have thousands of hours played across all three games and all the DLCs and hundreds of save states. I have played every origin, faction, race, clan, creed, romance, every world state. To put it mildly, Dragon Age Keep is both my very, very best friend and my enemy. I enjoy the lore so much that I can be slightly obsessive. I understand the history, the religions, the factions, and the people of Thedas, and can even quote codexes by heart. So when I say that this game is a niche that I know very well, you know it's not hyperbole. Second caveat is that these are opinions of me and me alone. Nini is very opinionated and I can be very blunt. I'm not always very PC, so I do apologize up front. With that being said, we're going to look at the trailer and discuss it and see if we can find the answer to the most auspicious question of the day. Was the trailer really that bad? But first and foremost, let's watch the trailer for those out there who might not have seen it so we can refresh our memories.
Not looking good, old friend. This'll take more than you and me.
What are you thinking?
We need someone to be our eyes and ears in the shadows.
And someone to bring a little darkness to the daylight.
We're going into the Fade, aren't we?
And digging up a lot of buried secrets.
What about Darkspawn?
Yeah. Someone who will stand between us and a pack of demons.
You know there will be dragons.
Right. We'll need someone with fire in their blood. One more thing. This crew needs a leader. Someone we can count on. Someone that the world can count on. But where are we gonna find her?
Well, that was interesting to say the least. So first and foremost, we need to talk about the elephant in the room and the major spark that lit the fire that is the discourse online. The tone of this trailer is so unlike the way quote unquote Dragon Age should be that a lot of people are, to put it plainly, angry. And while I kind of get their point of view and I can understand their visceral reactions to this, I don't really, here's a hot take, think it's really that bad. Now, granted, if you were expecting something dark and gloomy, a predecessor to the horrors that will be the shattering of the veil and the destruction of Thetis, this is not a trailer for you. This is a fun, lighthearted companion introduction, which is, in my opinion, desperately needed considering what we're going to be dealing with this game. It is a choice to go this route, this very Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy, Fortnite, Valorant mobile game aesthetic. It looks silly, it looks cheesy, it looks like they're not being serious, but I think that's literally the point. And the other point is that, yeah, why not? Think about it. Dragon Age is a series that is 15 years old. It has been 10 years since Inquisition. The fan base falls into the demographic of my age. I'm middle-aged. I played Dragon Age. I was 32 when Origins came out. So the fan base is relatively older. Not old, older. So when you think about it, you want to try, from a marketing standpoint, from a money-making standpoint, you gotta find ways to bring in that younger crowd, those more fans, more money, and more popularity. So it makes sense that they would veer on the side of what's trending these days and make a trailer that is sort of more appealing. Now, I'm not going to say that this is a generalization, of course, but it makes sense that they would go this route for the purposes of bringing in more fans, younger ones who've never played the series, who might get into it if they get a spark of interest. And it's a little bit of a red herring to use this aesthetic, especially if the graphics of the trailer do not match the graphics of the game, which, based on BioWare's history, is nearly 100% always true. No Dragon Age trailer has matched both tone and graphics and aesthetics with their respective games. Some have been close. Inquisition specifically was super close, almost complete one for one, but not quite. So it makes sense that you're going to have this cognitive dissonance between this aesthetic and what the game is actually going to look like. Now, we do know that the devs have released a couple of snippets of the gameplay trailer that we'll be getting on Tuesday, and from what I have seen, the aesthetics are more the Dragon Age we know and love. So at least we don't have to feel too apprehensive about that. As for the trailer itself, let me say this by giving you a piece of advice. We must learn how to breathe when we watch things that we love. Because my little happy heart had a complete and utter conniption fit and acted like a 14-year-old fangirl standing in front of her favorite pop idol when I saw this. Minrathous is a place that I have wanted to go since day one. The Magisters of the Imperium have been the bogeyman, hanging out in the horizon, waiting to make our lives miserable, to take magic and rule over men, to enslave the elves, and to make our lives worse for wear. And yet, when I look at Minrathous, I want to buy an apartment and move in immediately. This is absolutely gorgeous. The bay, the fog rolling in, the circles hovering over the water, the bridge to the Imperial Highway, the architecture, all of it is stunning. This is the Dementor of my dreams, and my little checklist of the things that I wanted to see in the new Dragon Age game, this hits that mark. Absolutely love it. Now, when we start talking about the trailer in and of itself, we have to honestly admit that this is so perfect for Varric. This is the most Varric of Varric stories and introductions that we could possibly get. Our rogue, our storyteller, our occasional tag-along, our Varric, Tethras. The fact that he and Harding are having a nonchalant general conversation about who they're going to recruit to help stop the big bad wolf, while also having a bar fight, is absolutely quintessential Tethras. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, the mobs that are in this fight, we don't know who they are. Their armor, weapons, very Tevinter. We don't know if they're Venatori or another faction. It is interesting that they have red lyrium blades, and if you see a front shot of them, they have red lyrium iconography on their helmets, their hooded helmets, which is cool. But aside from them, what gets me about this shot alone is the bar itself. The aesthetics, the design is very Tevinter, but with a dash of Kunari splashed in that is hard not to miss. The banners here are all marked with Kunari iconography. So it makes me wonder if this bar happens to be in one of the cities that the Kunari now have under their control. We know from the stories, books, and comics that the Kunari basically did exactly what Solus expected at the end of Trespasser, that they would return their focus to Tevinter. And in the 10 years since Trespasser, they have invaded Tevinter and taken over at least 2 cities that we know of. So I wonder if this is where they are. Are they in a Kunari-controlled Tevinter city? And if so, why are they there? Now, to move along, we're going to talk about the companions as they come, and I will have to say that the fact that we are getting Scout Harding as a viable companion and a romanceable one is absolutely perfect. Harding is sweet, adorable, very talented, and her freckles are everything. And the fact that she's not only going to be a companion and she's going to be romanceable this time for sure is just a bonus upon bonus upon bonus. This makes me super happy. Not only do we finally get our first dwarf companion, but we get one that is dwarf female companion that's romanceable? Absolutely. We all know who Harding is. We all love her. And it'd be great to finally get to listen to her banter and her quips. It's going to be fantastic. Now, on the rating scale of romanceability for this Nini, this one, I will have to say that she kind of sticks around the middle of my list. Because, yes, I loved her. I loved her in Inquisition. I can't wait to get to know her better and to know more about her story and where she's from, other than being from Ferelden. I cannot wait to do that. But she doesn't have my attention like some other members of our companion group. So let's move on to Neve. This companion has got me really excited. And the reason why I say that is for 2 reasons. Neve is a member of the Shadow Dragons. She was introduced as were her faction in the Missing comic. We don't know a lot about her. We know that she helps Varric and to do his investigation to find more about Solus and what he's been up to in Marathis and in Tevinter in general. And we don't get much of her, but we get enough of her to spark our curiosity. What I love about her design is, yes, she is Tevinter by origin. She is a mage. But she's also interesting for other reasons. Now, I won't argue about DEI and inclusivity and diversity and all that stuff. I don't do politics here. But what I will say is the fact that her aesthetic is not the typical BioWare Dragon Age body type is a plus for me. The fact that she has a prosthetic leg makes it really interesting. I'd like to know how it was made, how she lost it. It's a curiosity thing, and I know that's not very PC for me to say. You don't do that to real people, but we aren't talking about a real person. We're talking about a fictional character. So it'd be cool to get to know her backstory. who she is, what happened to her, and how she got here, and what she plans on doing with us. Right. Neve, the detective. Outstanding character design and an interesting character all along. Now, while Neve is interesting, Lucanus, on the other hand, is going to be my next obsession. I'm not going to deny I have a thing for crows. Severin is my go-to romance in Origins, so the fact that Lucanus, the mage killer, is a crow, bonus points. Aesthetically, okay, he's hot. Absolutely my style, my type. So the romance is a definite. This is number one first playthrough for me, romance. But what I like about is his look. His armor is very well detailed. He has multiple weapons, and he looks very mysterious, but wise as well. Which, we like wise characters. I am a solomancer after all. So I just really hope that this won't be the one that betrays us. BioWare has a history of having, God, betrayers, and they're always apostates. At this point, I'd be upset if Neve betrayed us, but not the other mage on this list. But it can't be Lucanus. And I'm really curious why he's even here, because he's technically supposed to be dead. So, is he in hiding? If so, why? Can't wait to find out. Now we come to the companion that sparked all kinds of vitriol online, and I get it. It's a weird introduction. It's silly. It's very not quote-unquote Dragon Age. But a lot of the discourse I found is very one-sided. They are either like, oh, she looks weird and it's not a good character and it doesn't fit the aesthetic and all this other stuff. And then there's the other side that goes, veil jumping? What in the world? Isn't jumping in the veil a bad thing? Isn't that precedent in the lore and canonized that going human in the Fade is a bad thing? Blight, magisters, that kind of stuff. Granted, yes. But a lot of these people are losing the context that the veil jumpers themselves have already been introduced in extra information in the missing. We don't know what their abilities are. It's not covered in the comic. Only that is what they're called, the veil jumpers. We don't know anything about it. Now, in my opinion about how they introduced her, I agree. It's a little silly. But I think that fits her character. For those who know, there are quite a few divisive characters in Dragon Age as companions. And one that is on the very bottom of the list, the one I dislike above all else, is, sad to say, Sarah. I found her extremely annoying. I did her romances, I did her friendships, I did her rivalry, and I didn't like her. I just didn't. But Belara seems like she's going to be basically the extreme opposite of Sarah's personality, where she's going to be cheerful and fun and silly and the heart of the team, which I find that endearing. I also find interesting about her is her outfit. For those who know, you've heard the rumors, you've seen the little snippets of information about those across the sea, the executors. And the funny thing is their symbolism is a bunch of triangles, and Belara is covered in them. So I wonder if there's anything going on there, which would be great because we don't know squat about the executors, and it would be great to get more information. I can understand why people were really upset about Belara's introduction, but I really think that that's just a difference of tastes and opinion. I'll wait to see what kind of character she is, but right now, she's not on my top list for romances, but I think she'll be cute and fun and really sweet and kind of romantic. So, we'll get to her, just not on my first playthrough. Now, the next character is the one that made me do a double take, and to be perfectly honest, I was not sure how to handle Then, Emric, the Mortalitasi necromancer from Navarra's Grand Necropolis. Okay, Navarra has been a fascination for a lot of people in the fandom because we don't know a lot. We know little. We know some of their culture, some of their iconic structures, and the way they feel about death and the souls of the living and how they handle their burial rites, but we don't know much about them in general. So I will find that I can understand why people are just as interested in that whole part of the world of Thetis. And to get me be really serious here, I kind of like his vibe. His armor is really interested and intricate, but here's where I draw a line. Okay, and I'm going to say something very un-PC. He's old. Like, I want attractive, romanceable characters, and that is just not my jam. He's too old for me, and not my type. So yeah, he'll be on the bottom of the list for romances, but he is close to the top when it comes to intrigue. Because we know so little about Navarra, and the fact that he is a necromancer. Dorian was one of my favorite characters in Inquisition. He was my very, very, very bestest friend, and I've played playthroughs where I ran with the specialization for necromancer, and I thought that the spells were good, but that it needed some more tweaks, and it wasn't as awesome as it could have been. And I can't wait to see what his skill tree looks like and what his spells are for Veilguard. So that's the thing. He's okay, but he's not what I'm interested in as a romantic option. But like I said, lore-wise, absolutely. I will dive into any codex about Navarra and him and just eat it up. He does come with a skeletal companion. His name is Manfred, according to BioWare. So that'll be cool to see if he's actually combat supportive or if he's just an aesthetic choice to hang out in our hub. We won't know for sure, but it'll be cool to find out. Now, the next character is number 2 on my romance list. I am sorry. I am so happy. You have no idea. I was one of those very loud Dragon Age fans who were beside themselves because we could not romance Vivian. And I know her personality is garbage, but it was the variety and that she was stunning and she was intriguing, she was gorgeous, and we couldn't date her. Well, I understand by narrative reasons, but BioWare, as I said before, has a tone problem, a skin tone problem, and the more variety we get in this game, the better, in my opinion. And the fact that not only is he a dark-skinned, Dalish elf, but he's also a warden, makes him even more intriguing. Davrin is number 2 on my list. He will be my second playthrough, hands down. I don't care if he ends up being the one that betrays us or not, and skipping the apostate betrayal syndrome and going straight to warden betrayal syndrome. Don't care. He's definitely on my romanceable list, number 2 for sure. And the bonus is he comes with a fluffy friend, an actual baby griffin, which is outstanding. For those who don't know, yes, griffins were said to be extinct. They didn't think there was any more left, and then in one of the books, they found a clutch of griffin eggs that were still viable. So I'm curious, one, how Davrin got a griffin, baby griffin, and what the mechanics of that griffin is going to be. In the trailer, it looks like he's helping with combat, which would be fun, but I really am interested in that. And as long as we can pet it like we could dog in Origins, I'll be super happy because it's fluffy. The fanbase has basically named him Griffy. I kind of like Beak Spawn, but that's just me. But this little floofer is definitely a bonus point in this game. We are getting griffins. Hopefully, maybe eventually we might even be able to fly and ride one like the wardens of old, but you never know. As for our next one, this is probably the most anticipated companion since the concept art came out. Ever since Bull became a member of the Inquisition, people have been complaining that we did not have a female Kunari to romance. And here we are. We have one. Her name is Tosh. She's a dragon hunter, and she is a Lord of Fortune from Ravane, which I find really, really interesting. We don't know a lot about Ravane, just like Navarra, so we get lots of more information about that country and their cultures, and see the place where Isabella's from. And this dragon fight, which is amazing, is actually on a shore in Ravane, which is great. We get to see the aesthetics of that part of the country, which is great. And the fact that our dragon hunter is dual wielding axes just makes me even more fun. I don't normally gravitate to melee classes. I like mages. I do play rogue in Origins, and off and on sometimes in 2, but I always play mages in Inquisition because they are my preferred romantic interest, because I am a solomancer, so mage plus elfie mage equals heartbreak. But yeah, Tosh is going to be cool. She's definitely number 3 on my list. I will definitely like to get her to know her better. As for the rest of the trailer, I do like the way they introduce your character, Rook. Very lost in anonymity. We don't see your face. We don't see anything about it because the devs have already said that Rook will be unrestricted. So you can be male, female, human, mage, dwarf, Kunari, rogue, whatever, warrior, whatever you want to be. There's no restrictions, which is great because a lot of people were worried we were going to get landlocked into being only human. So that's awesome, and I like that they kept the anonymity. I am really loving this shot of Varric and Harding. Varric is 10 years older. Starts 10 years after Trespasser, and I love the gray that they have put in his hair, and the scars are mirrored in some of the comics. Barrett carries the same stars in the comics, so that's great. And of course, we get a lovely shot of Harding's beautiful red hair and freckles. I love it. Overall, this is a great trailer. The thing that got me the most fired up, in all honesty, is a phrase that utterly blew my mind. It is literally defy the gods. Now, when you talk about Dragon Age Inquisition, specifically Trespasser, you know that Solus is planning on destroying the world. He's going to destroy the Veil, and in the raw chaos, we're all going to die. Fenrirel, aka Solus, is a quote-unquote god, question mark? So why does it say defy the gods? Gods as in plural, as in more than one. My theory is that Solus is going to blight the Fade, and the Veil's going to come down, and the gods are going to be blighted, the last 2, and we're going to get a double blight. And that theory is sort of mirrored in this shot. There is a prophecy in the compendium about 2 shadow spheres while the wolf rises. I'm paraphrasing, of course, that signifies the rise of the Dread Wolf and the return of the gods. This shot, to me, screams the Black City. The architecture is different from any other architecture we've seen anywhere in the game, in the world, so far. It's very elven, it's very shiny, and there's red lyrium everywhere. The Fade is blighted, and so is the Black City. Now, the question is, was it blighted before or after? My theory is that it was blighted long ago, and that's why they were locked behind the veil, because in my headcanon, Arlathan and the Black City, Seed of the Maker, I'd say. So, and the video actually hits that pretty hard, because in the back behind the dragon, you see the statues of the Evaniris. So, is this really Arlathan? We'll never know. At least not until the game starts. As for my theories, there are many, but as for the trailer, I think it was good. The tone was weird, agreed, not gonna lie, but it gives me hope. There are enough Easter eggs and tinfoily sparks of inspiration that will have me basically pining for this game, even more so now than I have been over the last 10 years, until the release in the fall. For those who got really, really upset because of the tone of the game, or the tone of the trailer, and you're a little weary, my advice is to pump the brakes, take a breath, and wait for the gameplay trailer on Tuesday. We'll get 15 minutes, more than 15 minutes, of actual gameplay. We'll get to see the in-game aesthetics. We'll get to see the makeup of the world. From the little bit we have gotten, we're definitely going to be into Venture, so that's a cool thing. So my best bet is to just tell everybody just to take a breath, and we'll see exactly what happens. But that's it for me, and I thank everybody for hanging out with me, and as always, may the Dreadwolf take you.